Hey everyone, Corey here, coming in to do our energy update. This one is going to be for June the 12th. The month is, we're almost at that midpoint of the month. This is a crazy month. We do have a beautiful, powerful Friday the 13th coming up, which to me, on that day, I don't know what the energy is, but it actually feels more powerful than the moon that we just came through. And I do believe that the new moon that's coming up for June is actually has more power, or it has something more, I guess, I don't like the word, not power. It has something that is more influential than this full moon. This full moon to me feels like, I don't know, it's just a different energy. But so this is where this has been my day. This is it right here. Everything that can kind of get in the way. Phoebes, you're on the computer. Get it away. Welcome to my world. That would be Phoebe. So I'm just going to talk about, I'm going to use this analogy for today, not Phoebe. So now the computer is dying. Hold on. Let's try this again. Okay. So I was going to use this analogy. I was going to use the analogy of these two little kittens that I have. And I've been loving them and being so, and they've been, and really trying to make them part of the family. And one is getting better. And the other one was like, all of a sudden had a moment today where she just snuggled and cuddled me. And then now they're up underneath the cupboards in my bathroom and I can't get them out. I'm like, I walked out the door and I just said, I'm done. I've had enough of you guys. I'm just done. I'm so done with you guys, in a nice voice. I didn't yell at them, but I'm done. I quit. I quit in on you guys today. And that's kind of what the day has felt like. It feels like it's just like, no, I want to quit. And then I keep hearing this song, and it's from the Chicks, and it's and not back. What's that song? Playing, no longer playing nice, or done playing nice, whatever that Chicks song is. I'm not backing down. That song, I keep hearing that song. And I just, all day, there's been like every reason for me not to be in here, not to record this, but here we are. We're still here. So the last video I started, I was about 25 minutes in, and I'm like, this is such a bullshit. This is so full of ego. I'm not recording this. This is not right. And so I stopped, or it didn't feel right to me. Maybe it was totally right, but it didn't feel right. So I left the video and just deleted it. It's not a video I want to share. It doesn't really align to the message. It's aligning to the messages that I'm getting with the planets. It talks about betrayal. There's all kinds of stuff in here that I want to talk about, but from me receiving the message to me translating the message, I realized that there was some of me trying to hold back or something in there. So done playing nice. Where are we? It's like, I'm done playing nice. I'm done playing nice with the kind of I don't say the shadow band of social media. Done playing nice. Done just trying to just say it is what it is. I'll just let things happen. I'll just let things go. And it just feels like this sense of empowered state of being, but it's not coming from anger. It's coming from like the rise of the soul. And I just feel something rising within the soul. And so what's been coming up is soul contracts and the soul's destiny, and that we can get so tangled up in not allowing ourselves to let soul contracts to be completed or to be done, that we lose track of our soul's destiny and the sense of the soul's destiny and what we're here for and who we're here to be and what we're meant to be. And it's not about becoming a perfect version. It is truly about becoming a sense of whole, which means living in all of our lives, in all of our world. It's about being a part of everything that happens in our lives. So the full moon was yesterday, was yesterday. We're still in the energy of it, but it was actually yesterday. I posted nothing. I did no video. I did nothing. I had no ritual, no nothing. And I could hear that little voice in the back of my head that goes, oh, you need to be doing this, or you need to be doing that. And it's like, oh, well, you need to be dancing around a fire and howling to the moon type of thing. You need to have some sort of ritual. That's an exaggeration, but you need to have some sort of ritual, like you didn't do nothing. And then I just stopped in my tracks and I'm like, I did a whole fucking lot. I did a whole fucking lot. There was a lot that happened. And, but, and I'm like, I could feel myself almost arguing with this voice of trying to really cause me self-doubt. So there is some energy out there that it is almost like it's the trickster energy. And so there is a really confusing energy, and it's really bringing in, it's really coming from a place of the shadow. It is the trickster energy. And it's that which kind of tests us to see whether or not we're going to follow suit, and whether or not we're going to continue to chase the shadow, whether or not we're going to keep following the patterns and the things that we've chased in a need for a perfection or becoming, or to continue to hold on to those parts of ourselves that we're here to kind of end those contracts with, so that we're not in that anymore. And so I know for myself, it is a contract kind of thing that has been on a soul level, that has been about backing down and about, stepping away and not kind of feeling the sense of accomplishment or feeling as if I've never given enough. And that was one of the things for myself personally that I know I've had to really work through. I don't know, what have you had to work through? What have you noticed in your life that has been something that you keep following a pattern? And it's like, follow the pattern, not the people, not the person, right? Look at the patterns. The patterns are predictable. Astrology has levels of predictability based upon the identity of each and every planet to a certain degree, but it cannot predict the outcome and what it will look like. It can predict the energy. It can predict, the influences and how we are being influenced. So remember, we are being influenced by the planetary alignments. We're being influenced by an energy outside of ourselves. We're being influenced by the energy that has activated, which is also coming from the planets, that has activated the thought of war, disagreements, arguments, betrayal, a one side versus another side, a sense of big betrayals, unexpected things that are showing up. And so there is this activation of something inside that's causing us to, or that's bringing about the possibility to cause us to let that little voice become the powerful voice that moves us. And it's the light that is meant to move us. And when we're not being moved by the light, when we're not being moved by the soul, we're being moved by something outside of ourselves, something that's an external influence. And so what am I being influenced by? What is influencing these thoughts? What is influencing this behavior? What is influencing this habit? Where's the influence? And the influence is always often coming from how we respond with the inner self. It's a magnetic connection, and everything is a choice. Everything is a choice. No matter what we do, we have a choice. But I keep hearing the song, The Chicks. Are you ready? Is it no longer playing nice? If I had my phone, I could look it up, but I've lost that thing so many times today. I can't even tell you. I actually did something that I rarely do. And I went into the next town and was gone for probably a good hour and a half, 2 hours, and didn't even take my phone. I am so done. I'm so done with being so trapped and so tied to that sense of anguish and panic about having to get things done, about the rush, it's almost as if we have been existing in a manic that we have normalized, right? And there's been this manic energy that has been normalized. And now that manic energy is at its all-time high, and it's like over the top, and everything in the energy feels like it is overstimulated and over the top. And it's like a volcano waiting to explode. In the last video, I spoke about these volcanoes or earthquakes and explosions and the energy. Well, we're speaking about it all year because it's going to see, like, we're seeing big things, and we're not done seeing big things. And of course, we're bearing witness to the breaking news that we spoke about, and kind of everywhere. everywhere. And so we are being influenced. And so it's recognizing that we can very much be, that we are so influential, we can be influential and we can be influenced. And being aware of where and how we're influencing, or how where the influence is coming from, is very important right now. Paying attention to that right now, in this time, in this energy. And so as I was kind of not posting this week, I felt like I didn't have anything to really share. I'm just like, if I could say anything, I said, it's almost like this is one big ass shit show. And things are kind of like, you kind of just got to let people go and let things go and just allow things to unravel itself. And so I'll always say this in predictability of energy, is that a lot of times you'll see when people get into such a frenzy, or such a kind of, a frenzy of energy that is becoming like perfecting one side, one way, is that eventually you'll see one aspect of self or one aspect of somebody else become kind of turn against. So there's a turning against energy. That's where the trickster is. It's so easy. We turn against our own selves. We turn against others, but it's here now. And it's a powerful force, and it's a powerful force that's moving and shifting and really changing things up. And you're going to see those big changes. You're going to see those big changes in a lot of places. You may find yourself with, you may be having your own thoughts, and you may be saying, oh, well, this friend haven't called me in months, and so I'm not talking to them no more, blah, 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 blah. And so it's so easy to get caught in the frenzy of that energy. And the big part of the archetypal energy that I'm picking up is the identity of self, and how the self identity and identifying the self and becoming that one man show, that one man circus, being I have to be the everything to everything in my life. Like nobody else is good enough. Nobody else can do it. Like all of this is chattering at us. It is yelling at us. It is all around. And so being able to recognize kind of the bullshit, being able to see beyond, gives me the opportunity to see the bullshit. And it sees the bullshit in everything. I see the bullshit in my own story sometimes, in my own behavior sometimes. And it's like, but to see the bullshit. And when I can see the bullshit, it's like, you just want to call the bullshit up and out, but you don't need to call the bullshit up and out. Every time you see something that's a bullshit story, is that it's not on a weak foundation, and it shall crumble and it shall fall. And so we're going to see a lot of failures and falling of events, or of energies, or of people. I don't know where it's coming in, but it's there. It's all there. It's for the making. We have everything now is creating, or has created, the perfect storm. And there is a perfect storm here. And there is a perfect storm coming in, and bringing enough wind, bringing enough heat, bringing enough of everything. And so bringing enough anger, bringing enough temper, you'll get a storm, you'll get a chaos, you'll get a fight. Is it a fight worth having? Is it a fight worth taking? And sometimes it's a fight for self, but what self are we fighting for? And this is the key to everything that we must look at, is that what is the key? What is the self we're fighting for? What is the self that we're speaking for? Who is this self? If I were to ask you, who's this self that I hear you speak about? Who is this self? Where did you find this self? And how do you know so much about this self? And what makes this self so special? Or what makes this self such a problem? Or what makes this self so entitled that they believe that they have to be the be all to everything in everyone's life? It's just, and so when we start to question the self, you can feel the danders come up. You can feel this sense of defensiveness coming up. But when we have the courage to really truly question self, like the archetypal character of self, it's like, well, who's this self you're talking about? Who's this self? Where did this self come from? And so it is really changing, and this perfect storm and this shift and this change is really truly making a shift in the identity. And it's making a shift in the identity of everything in our lives. And it's changing the shift of the world. It is changing the shift of groups, of organizations. It's bringing a shift in the identity of family. It's bringing a shift everywhere. And so there's these big major shifts that are taking place. And in all of these big major shifts, and in this sense of self, and in the story of eruption, and in the story of betrayal, in between all of this, there's always that little tiny buzzard of an energy. And it's like the nuisance of a fly. So there's this big, beautiful light, and that's drawing us in, and we get so drawn, and we're like, yes, yes, yes. And then there's this one little spark, and it just goes, are you sure? You sure you want to do that? You know, if you do that by yourself, or if you do that by yourself, you'd be so much better off. Whatever that is, like that's just one example. But there's just this little nagging little energy, and I can feel it. It's coming. But then there's the empowered state of being. So the sense of trying to power up on our emotions and be empowered by emotions, and having emotions triggered by everything you're bearing witness to, by everything you're seeing, is what leads us into following like the false light. It's where the trickster energy kind of captivates us. It's where we get stuck. It is that keeps us saying, you know, come see what I got over here. And it's like temptation. And so temptation would be a good card. If I had a card here for you right now, it would be temptation, right? To be tempted by life. Like if I have one of my cards, that it would be that if being tempted, it's so tempting right now to want to break free, to break out. I'm going to do my own thing because this self needs it, or this, it's, you know, I'm so done with these people, and I'm so done with this job, and I'm so done with this, and I'm so done with that. And it's like, what self is speaking this, and where is this self getting this energy from? Because this too shall fizzle, right? This too shall fizzle if the foundation is not strong enough, if it is not for the balance and the wholeness of our whole self, and the self as a whole. And so when we pick out one piece of ourselves and we build on that one piece, it topples, it falls. The wholeness of self is so much bigger. You're so much bigger. And that's telling us that there is a whole spectrum of you to look at. There's a whole spectrum of life to look at. And you have to see it as if we're looking at through a kaleidoscope, and seeing all of the little pixels and all of the little pieces come together and take shape. And when our lives take shape in a more organic way, in a more natural way, when we're in the flow, then what is for us and the whole self together is what moves forward into our lives. But when it's an a la carte to the self, that breaks away or breaks free and separates and is determined to be the something of self, is it leaves behind aspects of itself that it needs, of ourselves that we need. That includes leaving behind our shadow aspect. It's leaving behind all that has become important wisdom. If we leave behind our literal inner enemy, if we leave her behind, instead of, you know, keeping your enemies close, keep your enemies close, is that you will become the enemy again. You will become the enemy again. The betrayer. You will betray again. You will burn bridges again. It's like, if you don't bring the parts of you with you that complete the wholeness, complete the full sense of self, is that who do you go to? Where do you go to use as a comparison? Where do you get the wisdom within? If we we break away or break free from the parts of the self that we need to remind us where we were in the past, what we were like in the past, what we have done in the past, and to remind us, do we want to do that again? Do we want to repeat that again? Do we want to go down this path again? And then we have the defiance. I'll do whatever I want. I'm not doing this no more. And so we're seeing the defiance. We're seeing the immaturity, the emotional, the spiritual, the physical immaturity. We're seeing it on a world scale. And it'd be so easy to say, oh yeah, because that group is just so immature, or they're so this, or they're so that. And while I'm sitting here screaming and cursing and swearing at a TV or a social media page when I'm not even present and it's not being heard, do we not have a reflection of our own self that we need to explore, right? And it's the part of the self that gets to be self-identified, to be identified as one or the other. And so it's so easy to be tangled up in the characters, to live in our characters, to live to become all characters of the movie, of our own show, and to kind of be so busy that we can't really see that we are kind of favoring that one role. So for example, I remember watching the documentary on Britney Spears, and Britney Spears coming up for a reason. There's something going on with Britney Spears, or there's something going to be going on or happening around Britney Spears. I don't know if we're going to see her again. I don't know what this is, but there's something going on around Britney Spears. But in the documentary, she had played a character in a movie, and she said she loved the character so much that she had a hard time coming out. And she said she would never act in a movie again because she hated the fact that she hated that part about herself, or I'm just kind of generalizing this, that part of herself that couldn't leave, that had a hard time leaving character, that she literally knew that if she kept acting, she would get lost in some of those characters. Like, she loved it so much, she loved being that person in the movie so much that she really wanted to stay that person. Now, was there aspects of the character she played? It's things that she truly knows that she would have loved to live in her life, things she would have loved to be able to enjoy in her life. Maybe the freedom, maybe to be unrecognized, maybe those things, who knows? But yet, she is the Britney Spears that is the identity of all these stories, but yet only very few people actually ever know the woman behind this identity of Britney Spears, right? And so there is so much more to who this person is. And it's the same thing. It's no different with us. We find the thing that we think we like about ourselves, and that's what we grow. That's what we hold on to. But we forget there is so much more to us. And so when we get so attached to the thing that we're holding on to, because, I'm going to grow this part of myself because I like this part, I like being this person, is that we then throw away or throw aside the most invaluable, important parts of who we are. And so I know even within myself, there's a part of me, and I get it with that song that I'm also hearing, that's kind of pushing me kind of forward. And it's so easy to back down, but not backing down, right? Like it's like, oh, that's, who cares? I don't care. I'm just going to let that go. And that version of self would be like the easygoing, so easygoing, so easygoing. But she's not always easygoing, and far from easygoing. And so to keep identifying and trying to build that easygoing self is to recognize that if you were to bring in all parts of self, you get an empowered state of being. Maybe you get a wise self. There's something more. So we're being invited to recognize there is a trickster energy on the back half of this moon. And it highlights our shadow. The moon has power, and it's here to help us heal. It is the mother energy, right? It is that which is here to help us mature. It is the divine expression of the divine mother. It's here to kind of point out our bullshit It's here to show us the way. It's here to guide us. It's not here to take us on in a space of where it gives us all the clarity or what to do. It just says, take a good look. Are you sure about that? Are you sure? You do know the consequences of what you're about to do. You do know there is consequences for all behavior, all choices, right? There is another side of things. So it's just asking for us to be aware of the identity of self, and how we identify so strong, how we break apart or break free, and how we create this individuality of self instead of incorporating all of who we are. Not a better version of ourselves, not a less version of ourselves, but bringing the whole self together and recognizing, well, here we go. This is me. This is me. This is who I am. This is what I'm like. So this is speaking to us in such a way that says, pay attention. There's a lot of things that is happening right now that is going to leave us shaking our heads. And if some of the things that are transpiring doesn't make us stop and go, whoa, we have to stop fighting. We have to stop fighting. But stop fighting doesn't mean we stop believing, but it's a big energy, and it comes with a big, powerful influence. And so you're going to see this influence in people around you. You're going to see people acting weird, odd, different. It's a good time to kind of not throw yourself probably all the way into a situation. Kind of stop and look. It doesn't mean don't go ahead. It just means stop at the stop sign and look all directions before you go ahead, to just make sure something is not coming in, because if you're not looking, something can come in and just crash. So I did pull the Stargazer from my deck of cards, and I pulled Frida. And of course, there is whales in the sky. And so there is the beauty of that anything is possible, that what seems to be impossible can become possible. It's like when you least expect it. So there is some real magic in the energy and in the air. And it's telling us that there is a powerful sense of the everything miracle she is, that from our hearts and from our soul and from the essence of our soul, from remembering where we have been, by allowing ourselves to be the empowered state of being, is that we can be on top of all that is happening in a lower expression. And it's not about being so self-identified that you forget that there is so much more to you and so much more to be explored, that there is so much more that is happening, that you are so much more than that identity that you hold so tight to, or the identity that you place upon another. And why do you have such a strong projection of thoughts that create an identity of somebody else? What is the purpose of all of that? I don't know. It's all speaking to us right now. I'm feeling the exhaustion. I'm feeling the tiredness. I feel like I'm going through like heavy energy, murky, muddy energy. It's be easy to pretend that it's like, oh, this is all like wonderful. It's all good. Everything has a shadow aspect, and everything has the potential to be good, bad, or ugly. And there is a real, true potential that if we're coming from, or if the darkness, the pains, the hurts, if all of those things of our lives are still sitting unresolved, then there is a good chance you're still chasing or following something based on a locked in sense of identity of self that has been like an a la carte. I'm going to choose this one. I'm going to be this. I'm going to have this. I'm going to feel like this. I'm going to do this. And it's like, it's the small I am. And it doesn't leave no space for the big I am, doesn't leave no space for the big kahunas, for the big power of the big light to come in. It doesn't leave space for us to be free. And so there is miracles unfolding. And if we get so busy living our lives and living in our lives that we are now out of the way, we've now made space for beautiful things to unfold or miracles to unfold in our lives. So there is the sense of miracle energy that is being stirred up and being brought into the mix. But it's telling us to pay attention to imitation or to trickster or to truth, trickster or truth. And it's existing within the self. Am I tricking myself? Am I fooling myself? Am I playing a game? Am I pushing the buttons? Am I trying to push somebody else? What is that? Is somebody else trying to push me? What is all this energy? And recognizing the trickster versus the truth. What is the real truth? What is my real truth? And who is this I? Who is this self that I have to self-proclaim that I have to fight for and go to war for and battle for and to have such a conviction for? What if I were to sit with this self and ask the self what it is they really need? There's a lot of fear that is motivating. There's a lot of fear that is projecting energy. But we're ready. Frida is telling us we're on top of the world and that you are up. But if you get up and above everything that's happening, you'll be able to see beyond the bullshit that's taking place, and including the bullshit in our own minds. I send you so much love. Have a beautiful rest of the week, and I'll be talking to you soon. Much love. Bye-bye.